Jake kept a low profile. Steady job, modest apartment, few extras. On a drizzly Saturday, he drifted into a cramped pawn shop that smelled of old leather and ozone, hunting for something cheap to fill a bare wall. Near the back, he spotted a tall mirror in a weathered oak frame. A hairline crack curved across the glass, like a nearly healed scar. But the price tag was kinder than anything else in the store. When his fingertips brushed the frame, a faint chill pulsed through the wood, then vanished before he was sure he had felt it. He paid in cash, hoisted the mirror over his shoulder, and headed home, pleased with the rustic find and unaware of the trouble he had just invited inside. Late afternoon light caught the flaking paint of the pawnshop sign as Jake pushed inside, half bored, and drifted along rows of rickety shelves heaped with odds and ends. In one dim corner he found a tall mirror, its wooden frame, carved with unsettling spirals, felt cool under his fingertips. A hairline crack spiderwebbed the upper pane of glass. The shop owner merely shrugged, calling it a slow-moving antique. Jake, drawn to it for reasons he could not name, paid a handful of bills and shouldered the weight. By the time he reached his apartment, his calves burned from hauling the heavy frame, but the mirror already seemed to belong. Jake propped the mirror against the living room wall. The apartment felt even smaller than usual. Thrift store couch, chipped coffee table, scuffed linoleum. By evening, he was channel surfing, half watching the glass. The reflection showed the room as expected, though the light inside the mirror looked a shade dimmer, as if bulbs there were on their last gasp. He shrugged and decided to mount the mirror tomorrow. When he switched off the television, a cool draft lifted his hair. No window stood open, and the radiator hissed with steady heat. He gave the frame a last uneasy glance, killed the lamp, and went to bed. The next day, Jake hung the mirror on the living room wall and stepped back, arranging the usual clutter around it. Evening settled in, and the reflection looked peculiar again. The room inside the glass seemed a shade darker, shadows pooling at the corners. While he tidied the coffee table, he caught the faintest whisper, like a voice drifting through a ventilation shaft. He froze, listened, then checked the hallway. Nothing stirred. Hours later, brushing his teeth, he glanced sideways at the mirror. A figure drifted behind his reflected self and vanished when he spun around. Empty room, silent apartment. A cold ripple crept down his spine. Late night, Jake woke to a soft scraping sound coming from the living room. The mirror. He crept out, ankle throbbing where an old sprain never quite healed, but fear pushed him forward. The reflection inside the mirror was shifting. It still showed his apartment, yet the image looked warped. The corners of the room stretched into uneasy angles. Near the frame, an indistinct figure stood, tall and hunched, staring out at him. Jake's heartbeat slammed in his ears. He inched closer. A spindly, milk-pale hand slid up the inside of the glass and pressed flat against it. Then the figure blinked out, and the mirror returned to its normal view. Jake nearly fumbled his phone to the floor, gulping air while the apartment stayed silent around him. Jake tried to wrench the mirror from the wall, but it would not budge, as though fused to the plaster. A faint voice on the other side whispered his name and urged him closer. Panic surged. He flung a sheet over the glass. Beneath the cloth, the reflection still showed a withered face with black, depthless eyes pressing forward. The fabric sagged inward, as if something inside the mirror pushed against it. Jake stumbled back, but a thin, gnarled arm punched through the warped reflection and clamped around his wrist. His mouth opened in a silent scream, while the thing in the mirror reeled him toward the glass. Shadows rippled across the surface. The room lights flickered and died, leaving only the dark mirror and the struggle frozen inside it.